You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a successful motivational speaker and trusted life coach, Nancy knows how you can live the life you want regardless of the challenges you face. Although she's legally blind, Nancy's mission is to inspire others to overcome obstacles and live life full out. Call in at 800-333-0001 to ask Nancy for advice on topics such as relationships, finances, business, health, and more. Just call 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that is very heavy, actually. It's depression. Now, we all go through depression for various reasons. It might be the loss of a loved one. It might be just that the overwhelm of life feels like the to-do list is constantly getting longer and we're failing right and left, and we don't feel as though we're moving forward. Sometimes it can feel as though we're not communicating with people, and that makes us feel depressed because we're just misfiring right and left. We want to focus on where in your life today do you feel depressed? Do you feel sad? Do you feel hopeless? Because this is the time when we want to lift you up to give you that motivation so that you can move forward in a very active way in living full out. We're also going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Jacy Good, in our next segment, who's going to talk about the tragedy that took the life of both of her parents and paralyzed her. And it was all due to a distracted driver. So you want to stay tuned for that. It's sad because she did go through depression, but it's also inspiring in what she learned coming out of that collision. We are going to be taking your calls. Again, that number is 800-333-0001. And if you want to hear today's show again, go to livingfullout.com, click on the radio show tab, and then you can listen to this show and all of our episodes again and get re-inspired. And, each week, that's what we're here for. And if you have any questions, go to connect@livingfullout.com. That's where you can email us if you have any questions on today's show, if you need support, or even if you feel you have a story that's inspiring and you want to go ahead and share that with us, and perhaps we can have you on as a guest. We'd love to hear from you. So we're going to go right now to check in with one of our callers and see how we can inspire them today. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hi, welcome to the show. Hi, thank you for calling in. How can we help you?
Hi, I am 23 years old, and I recently, the last few years, decided to put school on hold. I moved out of my parents' house, and I'm just currently focusing on my career right now. I'm working in a corporate environment, and I really love working in that kind of environment. But at my age, most of my friends are, they went the college route, and they seem to have a more carefree lifestyle. They seem to have a lot less responsibility. I just want to know if it's normal to have taken on responsibility so early and to not necessarily feel like I'm missing out on anything that I should be doing my age.
You know what? It's a great question, but we always have to ask ourselves, what does normal look like? What is normal? Mm-hmm. There is no normal, right? So remember, and always remember, that this journey that you're on, this is your personal book, right? You're the author of your book, your story. And everybody along the way are supporting characters. But it's your story. So how you choose to live every chapter of your life is up to you. That's what makes each of our stories unique and different. And whether it be somebody who jumps into a career, and some people might jump into a family life, there's no right or wrong. There is no normal. That's the great thing about it. If you're loving your career, if you feel as though you're in the zone, stay in that place, okay? Because the friends who are having fun now, hopefully they get a great career or they build a family and they have their own successes along their path. Or maybe they won't. Maybe, they'll have turned around and all of a sudden a decade's passed, right? And you'll be leap years ahead of them, right? You just want to go ahead and just stay the course and be happy and satisfied with what you have, because we only have today. There's no guarantees of tomorrow. And we can't get back the past, so you want to maximize today. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're doing great, girl. You're living full out. I would don't even give any worry, any concern as to, quote, quote, are you normal? You're just perfectly writing your story as you wish. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thanks for calling in.
You too. Bye.
Bye. So, it's easy sometimes in life to compare ourselves with others, and that can sometimes make us feel depressed, can make us feel like, gosh, am I doing the right thing? Am I, quote, quote, normal? But again, does normal even really exist? Let's go ahead and check in with another caller today. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hi.
Hi. I'm a people pleaser by nature, and I have an issue with saying no sometimes, which I know can be a problem. And I'm wondering what are some ways that I can improve on that and not feel bad about telling people no.
Yeah, and no is a tough one, right? Because when we say no, we feel like it's so final, no, or we feel like we're going to disappoint the other person, or they might judge us, think that we don't want to be there for them. But I always look at the word no like, not right now. Okay? So when someone says something to you like, can you help me do X, Y, Z? Think of the no as not right now. It can all be negotiated, right? Do you want to go to the movies on Friday? Rather than it being like a final no, not right now, not this Friday. So you just want to change the way that you look at the word no. And when you are people-pleasing, because we all have that ability, we all have that desire to make people happy, right? Otherwise, we're kind of self-indulged and egotistical, and you know what? So I think we all fall into that lane from time to time. You just got to catch yourself, and sometimes you have to put yourself first. It's okay to say no. Again, quote, quote, not right now. It's okay to say that.
Yes.
Because what you don't want to do is turn around and constantly have said yes over and over and over again to people, because then what's going to happen, right? Your own life might be in disarray. You might not have accomplished the things that you wanted to. And that's almost a bigger pill to swallow than saying no to somebody, because now you're living with regrets. And a large part of living full out is not living with regrets. So what I would do is I would prioritize your week. Each week, know the things that you absolutely want to get done in your life. The things that you have to protect your time around, where if anybody tries to deter you from doing those things, you already know you're going to say no, not right now, right? Because those are very sacred things you need to get done. Those are like the priorities. Then there's going to be the level B, the things you'd like to do, but gosh, if a friend really needs you, maybe you'll negotiate. Maybe you'll move your item over a little bit and put them ahead. Right? And then there's going to be the level C things, the things that really, honestly, if you get to them, great. If not, no worries. And then when somebody asks you to do something, it's a level C item. You see what I'm saying? So you'll already know what is the priority items. And so when someone tries to throw you off your path from doing one of those priorities, you won't feel bad about saying no, because you know that it's something that is really important and has to get done. Does that make sense?
That's great advice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And, just go out there. Don't feel bad about it. Just have fun and say yes when you can, but say no, not right now, when you need to. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
It's interesting, as I take callers each week, it's interesting how we all have this common thread. We're all in this place where we want to achieve certain successes. We want to not just get to the mountain and turn around and be accomplished and have nobody there to share it with. We want to bring people with us. And at the same time, we want to strengthen our communication skills. There's so many things that go into living life full out that if we just nip away at it every day, do something to move your life forward in a positive way. Sometimes that might mean you have to say no to somebody. Sometimes that might mean that you have to reflect on your life and say, you know what? I may not be like everybody else, or what does normal look like, but I'm loving my life. It's okay to have those self-reflection moments. Now, going to what we're talking about in today's show, which is depression, any one of these times when we say no to somebody and we feel bad, that can make us feel depressed. When we feel like other people are looking at us like we're not living our life the way we should, that can make us feel depressed. But we have the ability to take the power away from depression overwhelming our life. We have the ability to choose to be motivated. Now, there are going to be times when depression does come in, and it may be something that is outside of our control, where you might need to see a doctor, you might need to get medical assistance. Don't ever feel bad about that as well, because I would rather you turn to a doctor or a therapist or even call into this radio show for support than to carry the burden of depression on your shoulders, because you are not alone. That's what we're here for each week, is to give you that guidance and that motivation. So when we come back, we're going to be joined by our inspirational guest, Jacy Good. Again, her story is just touching, inspiring, and I promise you, it'll make you look at driving differently and how you can be more responsible, yet still live your life full out. So we'll be right back after this break. It's the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari. We'll be back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. A professional motivational speaker, Nancy can help you overcome obstacles and start living full out. Call in with questions live at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about how do you stay motivated when you're depressed, when life not just throws you curveballs, but alters your life so much that you can't even recognize it. How do you bounce back? How do you find your way again? And the thing is, our inspirational guest today is not only a perfect example of living full out. I mean, she has grace and she has inspiration and all these beautiful qualities in her heart, but she's gone through tragedy. And so she tells her story best. So I want to go ahead and welcome Jacy Good to the show. Hello, Jacy.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And honestly, I share with our listeners early on that we'd be talking today about distracted driving and how it did take the life of your parents. But I want to go back to the day of the collision. And I want everybody to realize, I did talk to Jacy previously before today's show, and she set me straight. It wasn't an accident, it was a collision. And I want to go ahead and have Jacy kind of tell us about that day and why that difference between accident and collision.
Yeah, I mean, the story starts, it was my college graduation day, a small college in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and it was the best day of my whole life. I had worked for so long, and I felt like I had life figured out. I was 21 years old, and I had been hired for this perfect job, and I just had to finish this easy drive home with my parents, and I'd be home for a month, and then, real life would start. I was so excited. And so, unfortunately, on that drive home, we were involved in a collision in what, for many years, I called an accident, but we just kind of don't think about the words that we're using. This collision was caused by a driver who was talking on, according to his testimony, he had his phone on speakerphone, so it was hands-free. He was looking out the windshield, and he ran right through a red light because his brain just wasn't thinking. And as I started to research this and see, we've known that it's dangerous to use a phone and drive, basically since phones were invented. And still, all of a sudden, we call it an accident, and no one's responsible. We're not doing what we know we should be doing.
And that's why you choose to call it a collision, because it wasn't an accident. It was something that could have been prevented. Share with us, what were the dynamics of the actual collision, like in terms of which way was your car going versus his car versus the truck that eventually hit you?
Yeah. So this road is one lane each direction, 45 miles an hour, and anywhere there's an intersection, there's a light. And so my dad was driving, and we were going south, and my dad was going the speed limit. He didn't do anything wrong. And as we were going south, we came to a green light, while this other driver who was talking on his phone came to a red light on that intersecting road. He stopped, but then was so distracted that he turned left into that intersection. And as he did that, there was also an 18-wheeler semi-truck going north. So it was just opposite us. and he had a green light as well. And as he approached that intersection, this distracted driver turned in front of him. He swerved to try and miss him, but then lost control and hit my family's car.
And I know with that collision, your parents obviously passed away. Did they die on impact?
Yes.
Okay.
Thankfully, there's so many little bits of gratitude throughout. Paramedic happened to live right there, just about a half a mile down the road. And he came to help. He found that both of my parents had been killed on impact. The truck had just picked up 30 tons of milk that my dad had taken the brunt of the impact, that there was nothing that could have kept him alive. But my mom, unfortunately, we had stopped at a gas station about 5 minutes earlier. She was in the back seat, the back passenger seat. But when we had left that gas station, she hadn't put her seatbelt back on. So she ended up in the front seat and didn't even have a pulse when that first paramedic got to her.
And you were obviously not conscious either, because you had been, severely injured as well, but you were hanging on, just barely hanging on.
Yes. I was in the front passenger seat, and that paramedic came to me, and the truck had kind of driven over top of our car, so the roof was collapsed on my head, and I wasn't breathing when that paramedic got to me. But I had a strong pulse, and I was alive, and that paramedic got me breathing again, and he kept me alive. And thankfully, I don't remember any of this. I had a brain injury, but my feet were broken, and my leg was broken, and my collarbone and my wrist and my pelvis was shattered. I had injuries to my liver, my lungs were collapsed, my carotid arteries were very severely damaged, and when I got to that hospital, the first doctors told some family members, not everyone, but informed them that I had about a 10% chance of surviving that first night.
Well, and thankfully you did. Obviously, you're with us today, and it's a miracle. And I want to, first of all, acknowledge, before we go on with your story, we're very sorry here, our Living Full Out community, for your loss. And what were your parents' names?
My parents were Jay and G.
I'm sorry, Jay and what?
G.
Okay. And, the reason I ask those questions is we always want to keep those people who have passed in our life at the forefront. We always want to say their names. We always want to talk about them. And I know that your parents were both just givers, and your mom was obviously a teacher, well received in the community as well. And so, honestly, we want to just take that second here and just, remember them. And also, it was a miracle that you were saved. You obviously had your seatbelt on. A lot of times when these tragedies occur, we can't control everything, but your story does share with us about the importance of distracted driving. We're going to be going to a commercial break here in a second, and so, Jacy, I want you to stay with us, and when we come back, we're going to talk about her road to recovering, both emotionally and physically, because that, I imagine, was a steep hill for both emotional and physical pain. So, Jacy, will you stay with us? Great. Okay. Everybody, we'll be right back after the show. This is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Jacy Good, and we'll be coming right back with our interview with Jacy Good. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Jacy Good, and today we're talking about times in our life when we go through depression, and how do we bounce back? How do we lift ourselves up out of that sad, hopeless place to a place where we are positive, where there is hope again, where we can see our future and envision moving forward. Now, our guest today, Jacy Good, is a perfect example of living full out. She was sharing with us in our previous segment about the collision that took her parents' life due to a distracted driver. And now Jacy's going to be sharing with us about her journey in recovery, both emotionally and physically. So, Jacy, I'd like to welcome you back to the show.
Thanks.
And again, we're sorry for your loss, very much so, with your parents. But again, you are a miracle. You did live. But your road to recovery was long, right? you had to deal with finding out about your parents both passing. You had to acknowledge all the pain physically that you had to go through. What was that like? I know that you were in a coma for some time.
Yeah, I was in a coma for about 2 weeks. I was in intensive care for almost a month and a half. I was in the hospital, living in the hospital for a total of 4 months. 2 of those months were in a rehabilitation hospital, just trying to figure out how to learn to live my life again. I had a brain injury, which meant relearning how to be able to talk and how to read and how to feed myself, and caused partial paralysis on my left side. So learning how to dress myself and learning how to walk and these things I had maybe always taken for granted that I couldn't do. Trying to figure out how to get back that life that I had figured out so perfectly.
And that sounds like such a steep hill to climb. What was the hardest thing that you had to learn out of all those things? Which one was the hardest?
Honestly, I think the toughest thing that I've at least figured out is the feat of making a ponytail with one hand.
Oh,
it took me years to figure out.
Wow, but you did it.
But I did it.
Even the hardest.
I'm lucky. I am really stubborn, and so I just kept trying until I got it.
You know what? It's funny how it's not the walking, the talking, the eating, the getting dressed. It's that darn ponytail that gets us every time. Yeah. Well, you know what? See, I love that you can find those lighthearted moments. And again, that is so Jacy. That's so you. Now, you were going along here in your own recovery. How did you learn about the passing of your parents? Who told you that? And I know it was probably a while before you could even wrap your head around that.
Yeah, I think my earliest memory is from my birthday. It was my 22nd birthday that summer, and it was in July, so almost 2 months after my graduation day. My brother came to the hospital after work, and I realized that my parents weren't there, and I started asking him why they weren't visiting me and trying to understand where they were. And he told me what had happened, that they were in the same car as me, and neither of them had made it out. And some combination of that just being too much for me to be able to handle, and just not, it couldn't be true because I couldn't live without them. Mm-hmm. He had to tell me that same information that Mom and Dad were gone dozens of times. Because of the brain injury, I wasn't able to remember from one day, 1 hour to the next that they were gone.
Well, and Jacy, we're talking about today in this show times in our life when we go through depression. And I can imagine there were many, many moments over this time where you were just down and hopeless. And obviously finding out about your parents passing, that had to be one of those moments. How did you lift yourself up in times when it felt so sad?
There were many moments that it wasn't possible. I couldn't move forward, but I was thankfully raised to be optimistic, and there's always something to look forward to. And I had worked so hard to build this life that I was ready for, and I think I just really wanted that life back. I wanted to be able to walk. I wanted to be able to spend time with friends and get a job and do all these things that used to be a normal part of my life.
Mm-hmm. You just wanted to reclaim your life again. You couldn't get your parents back, but you could get your life back. It might just have looked different, slightly different.
Yeah, exactly. I was very fortunate to be surrounded by incredible family and friends who really helped keep my spirits up and just kept reminding me what my life used to be and that I could get that back if I worked hard.
Now, I know even today you're partially paralyzed on your left-hand side. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So although you recovered in a lot of ways and you did get your life back, there's still, physical parts of you that are a remembrance of that collision. And I'm just curious, what happened to that driver? What happened, criminally? Were there any charges filed?
Unfortunately, at the time, this all happened in Pennsylvania in 2008, and because there were no laws specifically banning cell phone use and driving, and that was what had caused this collision, the district attorney determined that there were no criminal charges against either of those other two drivers who both broke laws. And it was extremely upsetting, but it was also a push for me, it was a call to action that I needed to maybe use what had happened to me to try and prevent it from happening to any other families, trying to get a law passed in Pennsylvania. It's been a very long road, but
I just want to make sure I clarify. So they did break laws. Obviously, the truck driver went on the wrong side of the road. The other driver turned on a red light. So they broke laws, and I imagine they got tickets for those, but they weren't held criminally responsible because why?
I actually heard through the grapevine that the district attorney had recently tried to prosecute another case where someone was on their phone and I believe injured another driver and did not succeed because there was no law. And so when it came to our case, even though 2 people had been killed, he didn't even try and follow that criminal.
Because he knew it wasn't going to end up, positive. Again, how do you live full out? How do you not stay angry with that person? I mean, I'm angry for you, right? You lost your parents due to somebody who was distracted, somebody who, I guess legally was on their speakerphone talking to whoever, but that moment forever changed your life. How do you not be angry? How do you be so positive? Because, again, like I said, I'm sad and I'm angry for you,
I think, again, it was just kind of the attitude that I was raised with, that being angry doesn't fix, it doesn't change anything. I can't undo what was done, and it was now almost 9 years ago. But that's what I get, and so I have to figure out how to live with that, and for me it means doing things exactly like this show, just sharing this story to try and make a difference with what I was given.
Mm-hmm. You're so positive, and I love that you look for you're a glass half full, person, not half empty, and I love that. But what are some things that were because of this collision taken from you that you have missed out on?
It's been every aspect imaginable. The paralyzed left side kind of took away my ability to do so many other things that I used to love to do. I played softball and I played volleyball and I was a runner and I rode my bike everywhere, and I can't do any of those things. And I think for me, I just have to focus on the positive, that it is such a miracle that I even woke up this morning and I figured out I can ride a stationary bicycle, and it's not quite the same, but I got up and I went to the gym and I rode a bike, even though it's not getting me places. I am able to do that, and I find my positivity through those kinds of activities.
Again, life has just been altered. It hasn't. You can still do things. They're just different. And I love that you look at life like that. I know for myself, our community knows that I'm legally blind, and so I know for me, I too have had to make changes over time with my vision changing. And here you with your paralyzed left side, you'll start there doing it, but it's just different. And for anybody who's listening today, who has lost somebody, because I think these are silent voices. I think it happens more than we hear about. We each have a couple minutes left. What would be your words of advice to help get them from depression to a more positive place?
For me, I think just as an example with my parents, they are so strongly present in my life, and being able to tell stories about them and to find ways to keep them alive in my own heart. I think, as I said before, for me, it's all about finding things to look forward to, and that doesn't always exist. Sometimes you have to work pretty hard, and you have to work to create something to look forward to. But, maybe it means setting up a date with friends once a month, or seeing family that you have lost touch with, just using whatever venue you have, to surround yourself with people who love you and keep yourself active. I think that's a really big one for me. It's very easy to sit inside all day and get stuck inside your own head, but getting out in the world and interacting with other people and keeping your body moving can really make all the difference when you're feeling down in the dumps.
Well, I would go out with you, Jacy. If we only lived in the same town, you'd have to steer me because I can't see, but I would help you because of your left side. We'd make quite a pair. So,
sounds good.
Yeah. But, again, thank you so much for being on our show and just opening our eyes wider to distracted driving. And everybody listening today, when you hop in your car, whether you're a passenger or a driver, we have the ability to not talk on the phone, not text. It's up to us to do that. So thank you, Jacy, so much for being on the show. And everybody, when we come back, we're going to be taking your calls. Again, this is the Living Full Out Show. That was Jacy Good, our inspirational guest for today. And we'll be coming right back after this break. When life gives us tragedies, crises, challenges that we feel like we can't handle, it's easy to go into a place where we feel depressed, where we feel sad and hopeless. But remember, to live full out is about pulling yourself up, finding ways to be positive, to stay motivated. And you can do that. You do have the ability to take control of your life, push depression aside and say, you're not going to control my mind, my heart, my soul. I choose to live full out. Thank you again for joining us today. I know this topic has been a heavy one, depression. And again, there's various degrees to what depression looks like. Sometimes we're depressed because of a breakup or a loss of a job or a loss of a loved one. But sometimes it's more than that. It's depression we've had our whole life, or maybe it's hereditary within our family. Either way, it's about asking for support, getting the resources that you need to get from a place of hopeless and sad to positive and motivated. And that's what this show is here for. But that's what we're all here to do in our life, right? When something comes our way and it's heavy on our hearts or overwhelming to us, we want to find a way to conquer it, to get us back on track. So we're going to go now and chat again with one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out Show. Hi,
Hello,
welcome.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us. How can we help you today?
Well, I have a question regarding my daughter who's 25 years old and having a problem with her because I'm trying to make her understand that I am, as her mother, have her best interest at heart, and that her friends are not always so honest and so true friends when it comes to giving her advice, which would be the best for her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. It's interesting. Daughters and mothers, right? It's one relationship when they're young, and as they get older, it becomes harder, almost competitive at times, right? More pushback.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's hard sometimes because you don't want to be, you're not there to be her friend. You're there to be her mother, to protect her, to get her over these bumps in life and help her to see what she can't see. But at the same time, we want to be careful how we talk to somebody. Now, I'm not saying you do this. I'm just giving you something to think about. So sometimes when we're in that parental stage, or we're caring for another person, we can sometimes talk to them, talk at them. And what anybody really wants in life is to be someone standing right beside them. So without going from mother mode to friend mode, still staying in mother mode, you want to find a way to stand beside her and let her know, I get you, I understand, okay? And so part of that, and maybe you've done this, would be sharing with her similar stories that she's going through, that you also went through. In what she's going through right now with her friends, did you ever walk that same path?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and I've told her that many times.
Okay, and have you shared?
She seems to, yeah.
But go ahead. But she seems to what?
Well, but she seems to, when a child is upset, they usually lash out at the closest person, which is in this case me, her mother.
Mm-hmm. And when you were going through it with your friends back when you were her age, how did you handle it? Do you think you lashed out at your parents too?
I probably reacted the same way as she did, and thought that my friends knew better and gave me better advice than my own mother did. And I told her, growing up and having all these life experiences have taught me that really, your mother is the one that's not jealous of you, who wants the best interest at heart, and, it's all about being, near you and friends with you and being supportive of you, but they don't always see it that way. So it is very frustrating.
Do you want to know what the good news is? Sounds like you're being a great mother. Really does.
I'm trying.
No, it really does. I tell you that, and I give you that credit because you're doing great. The thing is you just want to keep talking, not at her, to her, but with her. Keep telling her those stories. Keep saying to her, I've been where you are, I get it. And all you can really do is just be there for her, because she's going to make her own decisions. She's going to fail. She's going to make mistakes. And all that you can do is be there to, swoop her up and support her. That's all you can do. And so the good news is you're doing it. And all you can do is be there. It's painful because you want to save her from that pain, but you can't, right? Because that's how we get stronger.
Right.
We have to, sometimes people have to take advantage of us. Sometimes people have to do wrong by us so that we can say to ourselves, I'm never doing that again. If you take care of that situation for her, she misses that lesson. She has to feel it. She has to learn it. So you just be that support.
Very true.
Yeah, you just be that support that you're doing. And the great thing is, you're a great mom. You can't be doing any better.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You were doing great. You're doing really good. And she should be lucky to have you as a mom. But just stand beside her, continue to support her, don't judge her. She's got to go through life and make her mistakes and make her decisions. But boy, will she be happy when you're right there beside her, not to tell her I told you so, but to swoop her up when she needs you the most. Okay?
Yes, very good advice. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, have a great day, and thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all your advice.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Have a great day. Bye-bye. So honestly, when we think about life, right, we have the ability to let it wash over us, make us depressed, make us sad, or we have the ability, like our guest today, Jacy Good, to look for the positive sides of life. We're going to lose people in our life. We're going to be challenged. We're going to wish that we could just save people from making mistakes, but you can't. You gotta feel life, and you gotta let others feel it. But we're here learning it together. So I want to thank everybody who listened to the show today, and to our entire Living Full Out family that's in the studio here. We have Carrie and Mindy and Rich and everybody else who puts the show on. If you want to listen to this show again, go to livingfullout.com, click on the radio show tab, listen to all of our episodes, including this one. Also, if you want to reach out to us, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. We'd love to hear from you. Have a wonderful day, and here's to you living your life full out.